What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And well, we've got one show for you tonight. And, but guys, I finally dried off after being out in the rain on Chickamauga today. But guys, if you don't know, I'm Colin Burnett.
Back to Jay.
And we've got a good friend of the podcast that I've known for several years, and it's an honor to be able to call him a friend. We've got Gerry Brousseau with us. Gerry, man, what is up, man?
Hey, man, I'm excited to be on here. I'm looking forward to all our topics we got tonight. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. You know, I love the fans. I love their questions they give you. You know, you and I go back quite a ways, and man, you like fishing Florida, I like fishing chicks. So we got something in common. Now, we ain't got Roland here tonight because he's turkey hunting in the middle of the woods. He's got a very weak signal. So I apologize for Roland not being here. He may try and check in. If he doesn't, I promise you the next time we go filming, I will knock his first three fish off the hook. Okay, just to be even with him. But we do have, and I'm excited, Will Wiles from Spike It. And one of the topics we're going to start with, I think, is Spike It. Am I right?
That's it.
Yep.
All right,
We
Will.
all know.
Hey,
We
Will.
all know that when you're out there fishing and stuff, you got to have some kind of dyes or even some kind of scents and stuff that you want on your bait. And Gerry, you know, we got probably the biggest scent manufacturer that is in the fishing industry right here. So,
Exactly.
Will, it is an honor to have you on the podcast, and thank you for coming on short notice. And
Oh no, I was excited to do it. Talking to Jay, we were just talking in general today about it, and he was telling me what I was going. He said, actually, why don't you come on? I was like, man, I'd love to, because we're out there, and a lot of people know a huge part of what we do is our chartreuse garlic and stuff, but we do way more than that. People really don't see it separate, like ICAST and classics and stuff. So I love to
right.
You know,
Yeah.
the key thing that I come in here and I want to start off with is how great of a sponsor they are, and all the products they make. You know, I'm at all these tournaments. Like I was just at Douglas Lake and Dale Hollow and Pickwick. Got to meet a lot of college kids. You know, and forward facing sonar is a big thing these days, and they had no idea that Spike It is even in that market. And I've got some of it right here, and it's called Sonic Coat. So if y'all can see that, let me turn it the right way. That's a spray aerosol one, and you just spray it on there. In the spray, how many different colors are there, Will?
There's 4 right now. There's like blue, black, gold, and like a camo green.
Okay, and this can even go on your hard baits, like your jerk baits and stuff.
Oh
And
wow.
and at the end of the day, you can wipe it off and bring your bait right back.
Correct.
If you use the smoke one, there's smoke, right?
There's a smoke brush on, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brush on. If you use that, your bait color still shows through it. So here's the brush on, and this brush on's in silver. So and again, you can use that on your hard baits, and you can get it off at the end of the day. Now I'm going to show you my favorite, and I'm going to tell you why. It's the gel. And why is this my favorite? And it's Roland's favorite also.
Yeah.
Only because you just open this up, squeeze the tube, and rub it on there. You don't have to let it dry or anything. You just throw it out. But Will, what is in here that they need to know that's the secret?
I can't really tell you, but I'll tell you this: it works.
I'm talking about the pheromones that are in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
actually real extract, real fish, and those parts actually. He'll tell you, guys that don't even fish forward facing sonar, they put that gel on everything. I'll do it if I'm not using forward. You can tell when it starts wearing off. That's how much of an attractant this one's become.
Yeah.
Uh, Now let me tell you all this, and there's a video out there. I believe it's on the Spike It website. Hunter's my 13-year-old grandson, and he's a little hammer. We were out in Kentucky on Kentucky Lake, and we put a little bit of this on, and I had to be the camera guy, which I usually am, either cameraman or net man. and he threw it out there, and I was filming the screen, and he had a little Ned rig on, and you really need to watch the video. That little Ned rig with a little bit of this on it looked like a glowing softball out there. And I said to Hunter, I said, Hunter, there's a bass looking at your Ned rig right now. And then a second later, I looked, I go, Hunter, two became one, set the hook. And he
Yeah.
did. And so they ran a video at iCast. They looped it with Hunter. You can see the bait, you can see the fish, then they become one. Hunter sets the hook, boats it, releases it. It's unbelievable. It took a Ned rig and made it look like a big glowing softball.
Yeah, I saw had Charlie Evans on a few weeks ago, and Charlie was testing it for me, and he calls me back. He said, Will, he said, I put this on my Senko. It looks like a dang anaconda coming through the water. He loves it. So, yeah, it's definitely, I mean, because, look, depending on conditions and all, it can be tricky seeing a bait even with forward facing sonar. So every little bit helps for sure.
Yeah. Well, we got a question that says, how well does that gel stay on, or is it like thump gel to where you get two casts and got to reapply?
No, this is actually like a thick, kind of sticky, tacky, kind of almost like a tacky booger stuff kind of deal that you put on. And
Right.
I mean, it'll wear off, especially if the fish are hitting it, and they will. But I mean, I'll cast it 7, 8 times and not think about it. And then if I feel like maybe I'm not getting the action I want, I'll put some more on there. But it stays on pretty good.
On the visual end of things, I've actually put it on, and 4 hours later, it's still showing up. I've had a tournament where I only had to reapply it midday, and that was it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because that's, to me, that's one of the things that I have not. I don't go to the gel just for the fact, because again, like what they were saying is like it don't last, especially if you catch a fish, you have to reapply anyways. Now that
no, I'm going to tell you flat out, no way.
Yeah, and with the brush-ons and everything, and the sprays, they don't come off until
still plastic, it's going to stay.
Why is this one? Well, this one's not really. I wouldn't even. We call it gel, but it's a gel base, but it's not like a slimy, oily, like you said, trying to put some oily scent, making a mess. It's real. It's tacky. It actually it grabs to the plastic.
It's almost like a glue, whereas you can't drip it on your carpet, you can't drip it on the seat. It's really good to have Roland using it when he's in my boat, because other stuff he'll spill it all over the place. So this stuff here is really tacky, like you said, almost like an adhesive, and it adheres to the bait. And I've even taken a bait that I used the first day of the tournament at Douglas Lake and threw it the next morning, and it was still on there, and it still worked the next morning.
And when we started signing to this one, that's the first thing we addressed was what's the main thing? Well, I hate one that gets all over my reel when I'm trying. I hate one that's messy, and I certainly hate one, like you said, you feel like you got to do something every time you throw it. So Don, the owner, he's like, come up with something kind of like a tar tack kind of stuff that'll be aggressive, but it's not like super glue getting on everything. And we found a happy medium, and it's like I said, I've had zero complaints about it not lasting. It's good.
Yeah. Now, we talked about this next question right before, and we knew that it was going to happen. What is the best way to get it out of carpet?
You want to do it or me?
You do it.
Okay. There's a chemical they sell, okay, and it's called what?
Neutralizer.
And the way to apply it is don't dump it on the carpet, put it on a rag instead, and wipe it into the carpet circular, and it'll take all your dips and everything right out of the carpet of the boat. The secret is do not pour it directly on the carpet. You want to put it on a like a terry cloth thing and just circle
and blot it first. Get all as much of it out as you can, and the best thing that takes it out after that is time in the sun. Sun will fade chartreuse out. So
right. And I've had red on my carpet, and when that spilled in there, Dude, I about come
That's
unglued,
a tough one.
unglued, and within 10 minutes, that stuff was off the carpet. Yeah. Now,
Really?
now I don't know if Will wants to show it or not.
But too, absolutely. The quicker you can get to it, of course, that's better. And that's why we've got it in the aerosols. And Gerry, what you like to use aerosol? I do too. Just because of that, or the markers, just especially because it's never you that does it; it's the guy fishing with you that does it. So there's ways to keep it safer.
Yeah.
But yeah, neutralizer is the best way to get it out and put it out in the sun. And let the sun dye it out.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So we
Well,
covered we covered the Sonic coat, and I'm telling you guys, Sonic coat's a game changer. Man, it's unbelievable. I taught Roland Martin. He the first time he saw a forward facing sonar was in my boat, and I called the shots. I told him over here on the left, 30 foot out, looks like a 4 or 5 pounder. And he threw out there, man, and he had that on there. He's creeping it across. All of a sudden, man, I got him. I said, I saw him come behind you. It was like 4.5 pounds. Little few minutes later, and that video's out on Roland's page. Few minutes later, I said, hey, about 30 feet in front of the boat, straight. He threw out there. I go, here he comes. All of a sudden, whack, right on there. That stuff will make any bait just shine, man. It's incredible. Hey, if
well,
you
we
use
got
a drop
another
shot,
question. Says, what is it about garlic that makes fish bite or go?
You know what? Nobody knows. There's no scientific reason out there. But garlic, the fish hold on to it, they bite it, they come to it, and I mean, all over the world, South America, those guys they love it. Saltwater, for it doesn't matter. Garlic, I'm going to start with it. And that's another thing on the gel. We've got garlic and game fish, so we're going to always put a little garlic in something usually. So, but yeah,
Right, right.
we just know it works, man.
You know what's really cool is when you put the Sonic coat on a drop shot and you put just a little dab on the weight and watch that thing. You see both of them going down. All you got
Oh,
is a
really?
little
Yeah.
dab and it just glows.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Oh yeah.
So, so that aerosol, like it just sprays the dye, correct? It's not that. But he goes. It's not that it.
It's just
It's
like
not
spray.
like it still does as well as the what?
Yeah, you're spraying it. It's gonna give a permanent layer on it until you get ready to peel it off. Basically, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So does this that I'm sure y'all have done it in clear water, but what about muddy water? How good is it in muddy water?
Well, I've gotten good results in salt water, muddy water. Um, Gerry, what the worst water? What has it done? Have you seen a difference?
The only thing I've had is now, yeah, I'd have to explain my whole system. My electronic system's probably in one boat's probably $25,000. The other one's 30,000. We're talking C clear cables. We're talking voltage over your 12 volts going to the module. But the only thing I've noticed in dirty water is instead of seeing that bait out 100, 110 feet, it cuts it down to like 80, 85, 90 feet. It shortens it a little bit. But
Right,
it's going to do that with anybody's product. You're not going to
Yeah,
stop
right.
that
I was
at
about to
all.
say
yeah,
that's typical, especially like with being on the Tennessee River, with
Uh,
how if we get a good rain, that
yeah. It's
it might
muddy.
not be the next day, but 2 days after that good rain, it's going to turn it into chocolate milk.
uh,
And so, what I'll have mine set at is about 60 to 80 feet out.
hmm
And, uh, but I've noticed that it will in that dirtier water. I have to bring it in because I'm not seeing the bait anywhere probably past 40, 45 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Uh, um, and that's just with any other dyes or anything like that, not just to spike it. You're right, Gerry. That it's just that the water clarity and the sonar going through it. It's got so much dirt and grime that it's trying to go through that it's trying to pick out what's the bait and what's actually kind of dirt field, you know.
I mean,
it kind of
that situation for sure. But
Right.
this, Jerry, what you say? I mean, it's 2 to 3 times more visible uh, than your normal bait. So what we did, we took the same bait, put it on 2 lines, and dropped it. One treated, one, and when you see both of them side by side, that gives you the real idea of what that thing's doing. You'll see it. Go watch the videos, and of course, I'm going to send you guys some. I want y'all to see what you think. I think you'll be a big fan.
here's what really shocked me when I first started using this product, and I believe that I had this product before anybody, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, when I got to a place, we had a heavy rain overnight, and I was fishing all this incoming water in the ditches, and the visibility went to half. And I said, "Oh my God, this is going to be a perfect test." I said, "I bet you we're." I told Hunter, I said, "We're only going to see this about half as far, maybe 45, 50 feet."
Yeah.
No, man, 70, 75. But it was duller, but you could still pick it up. And a lot of that, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but a lot of that's in one of the components in there. It has a
Mhm.
very reflective trait to it, and even through that dirty water, it picks up that reflection.
Mhm.
So, and
Correct.
I'm not going to get into details of what's doing that, but the other thing, I do see a question on my end, and it's from a character called Callie at CNN Custom Baits. He says, "How is it on squeaker fish?" So I'm going to tell Callie, it's okay, buddy. You can catch them 11 and 12-inch fish on this just as well as we catch the big ones. So, listen, the other thing I want to explain to the people that are watching that use the Spike It products now is everybody likes to use all these stretch baits like Z-Man makes. And whenever they dip it or put something on there, it doesn't take to it too well. So when it stretches out, the finish cracks and everything. It's not pliable. And Spike It has actually answered that question with this elastic, and it comes how many colors in the elastic?
We've got 6 right now.
Okay, you spray this on, give it a
Mhm.
minute for it to dry or whatever, and
Yeah,
I'm
it's great.
telling you, I'm I'm not lying to you. You take that bait and you stretch it out, and that color stays with that whole bait. There's no blank spots, there's no cracks, there's nothing. And in this elastic, I don't know if it's people just aren't paying attention and not seeing all of this new products that are coming out, but this is a game changer for the people that just like color. And
Oh,
again, you notice this says garlic on it, so you can
I was
get
about
this.
to say, does that come with the scent with it?
yeah. Yeah.
So,
So it comes in garlic. I think game fish coming. And we've got those. I know pink for salt waters. Our next color coming out. But yeah, look, TP and PVC. That's just 2 different plastics. So you got to have the right carrier that knows how to. It's a
yeah.
dye, penetrate it. So
Yeah,
No,
because I know that with that elastic baits and stuff, that some of the dyes will just eat it, and it
it will.
disintegrates the whole bait. And so
Yep.
that
this
is
one,
very cool to be
won't.
able to have that.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one won't.
So that's something we knew for years we needed to come out with it. So it was time.
No, no, I'm going to tell you that you brought up a very good question. In what sense? And Will, what'd you say? It's only in garlic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I do in my boat, and I'm going to give it to you in Hunter and I's favorite order, is we just carry the scent bottles, and this one's garlic. So this is what number one. We use garlic number one. If we're throwing jigs or that's not working, then we go into the crawfish,
Yeah,
and then they got a game fish, and
And game fish too. I meant garlic and game fish only too.
yeah, and we got shad. So we'll go ahead and use something that's not scented, and then put the scent on there. So we're double whacking it, and again, I don't know how much the pheromones on the Sonic coat stay on there. The gel's the one, but like he said, every once in a while, it's not that I can't see the bait; it's that I'm wondering if the pheromones are still on there. So I'll dab it a little bit, and maybe
yeah,
it's
That's
more.
what I was gonna say. It wasn't the visibility. I can tell if I feel like the fish aren't hitting it as often. I'll just put some on there just for my confidence or whatever. But it just
Right.
you know, I mean it. I can tell.
Will, Will, the people are always asking it. It's funny because Colin laughed at it. The question was, how do you get it out of your carpet? Why don't you go ahead and show them the new accessory you got so you don't get it on your carpet?
Yep. So this is the one we're coming out with. Your new dipping kit. So
Oh, heck yeah.
So it'll hold your markers, your baits, everything. You pass it around. It's got feet on it and everything holds still. And then
Man, you're getting me dizzy over here. Like on an amusement ride.
let's do it this way. There we go. All right.
Hey, welcome back, Will.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
All right. Yeah, so here you go. It's got basically cup holders, but you also have these custom pieces in there. And what that does is you slide that thing in there. Let me get this camera right. Oh, here we go. I'll fix it this way.
Sorry, none of us are palm readers, man. Stop putting your palm on there. Bye, Will. Guess Will went to sleep, man. He gone.
Yeah. he'll be back in a second.
When we get him back on, though, let me tell you a little secret. Here he comes. So did you see the piece that he pulled out of the bottom of it? So
yeah, the little donut looking piece.
Okay, my idea is, and Will and I talked about this. We came up with this together. We talked about it. Take a paper towel, fold it up, take that insert out, drop the paper towel, and then drop the insert in. So if you do spill some of it, instead of it being watery in there, it absorbs right into the paper towel.
Yeah,
literally like a dip cup.
You see how he took that board and he pulled out that insert, that cup right there?
Yeah.
That cup is made to fit in the drink holder of your Ranger or Bass Cat, or it should fit right in there. Yeah, it should fit right in there. So you can do all your dipping right there and not worry about getting it on the carpet. And
that's a game changer right there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, Will and Jerry, that's a product that Spike is going to have at ICAST this year, correct?
Oh, we're going to have it out before then, yeah, but ICAST is where we're really looking to launch it and show it, yeah. Because, like you said, it's got so many uses. You've got your place where everything can dry. You've got, we're going to have the 4 ounce where you can put, so like your blade dip, you can, you got somewhere to keep it right there. So say you're going to dip a blade. Now you got your watermelon blade. You can leave it right there, let it dry. Put your top back on and not have.
Crazy. You sit up.
And he just laid that on the tray that comes with it. Did you notice that? He laid it on the tray, so it's not on your carpet.
And sometimes I'll just lay me a little napkin in there too and let it dry. But that way, look, it's already dry and ready to go.
I didn't see it. You lifted it too high. Look at your own picture.
Too high.
Still can't. There you go.
There you go. Now how? I mean, and is it dry now? Like with how quick that was? Is it ready to be used now?
Yep, it's ready. It only takes 30 seconds a minute, especially when you're out there on the water in the sun. I mean, it's gonna dry pretty quick. And neutralizer will take this back off. So if you want to black out, say you're night fishing, you want to black all this out, you can take it back to the nickel or gold or whatever with the neutralizer. It'll come back off when you're done.
Dude, that's sweet.
Yeah, the next day you take a paper towel neutralizer, put the neutralizer on, and just wipe the blade, and it wipes the color off, and you're back to what you had yesterday. Say again?
You know how much time that would save you?
You know how much money it'd save you from having to buy it?
I mean, because
look at that.
How many times have you been like you're throwing a spinner bait and you have one that they may be hitting on that chartreuse blade, but then you throw it and you get it hung. You squirrel fishing and you lose it, and then you don't have another one. But then now that is
Yeah.
that is the jam right there.
Hey, Will, can you grab neutralizer and a napkin and take that color off right on the screen?
Yeah.
Show them how quickly that color comes off.
Okay.
Watch this. You're not going to believe it. Just wipes right off. So you get right
Now,
back
this
to your
is the
natural.
same exact neutralizer that you was talking about.
For the
If it
carpet.
does happen to get on your carpet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now watch how quick this is going to come off.
All right. So, get y'all a good angle there. So there's the watermelon on there right now.
You disappeared again.
There it goes.
There you go. You're back where you were.
That is crazy.
So it don't take none of the nickel or any of that stuff off of it. It just over time would it take it off?
Mm-mm.
So now it's right back to the same original that you started with. So it only takes a second.
Now, how many colors is the blade dip in? Will? Can he not hear me?
Can you hear us?
Will, you there? Man, this guy disappears. He goes deaf. There you go.
He'll be back.
Hi, Will.
Hey, Gerry. So is that the blade dip? Is it scented or is it just dye?
I think that one's just died, but we'll confirm that with him. Hey, I'm going to tell you, and he'll probably come back on and join us. Here he comes. Hey, none of your blade dip is scented, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, it's unscented. But we've got, I think, 12 colors now. We just came out with gold, watermelon, and pumpkin. Cool. I showed Gerry on a holographic. It was one of the coolest ones we've done. But yeah, it's really nice. You know, some people want, you got to go look for that truth, and if you don't need it, it's good. Keep it on the same lure.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. You guys are amazed now. I can't tell you because I'm sworn to secrecy. But what they got coming out at ICAST will simply blow your mind.
Yeah.
It's you're not going to believe what they've invented. I couldn't believe it. Hunter and I are working on doing videos right now with it, and the videos will only be shown at ICAST. But dude, if you would have told me 2 weeks ago that somebody could pull this off with a bait, I'd tell you there's no way in heck. And somehow they did it. And I'm not. They'll never tell me the secrets. You know, I can hang them upside down, drag them around the streets. They ain't gonna tell me.
Guys, I was going to show you this too. This right here is the brush-ons. If you can see that, that's what it kind of looks like on the baits. The different colors we have on the back.
Right.
They're popular. This does. If you want to keep your original bait color, you select your bait.
Will, your phone's breaking up. I don't know if you can hear me clearly, but maybe you need to move it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere in our studio, so
it sounds good right there.
Yeah, right there sounded good. It just comes and goes.
It does, man. Listen, that's one of the only bad things about living in a small town.
Yeah. Now, the question is, Is there anything like? Do you prefer to have the pen, or would you rather have the spray or just the dip? I
Well,
guess that's the
a lot of
Jerry.
times, depending on what I'm doing, usually I'm doing a tail, so I'll do the aerosol about 80% of the time. But the markers I like because I can put a stripe, I can put a kill dot, I can keep it in my front pocket if I want to, and I honestly, everyone's got its own purpose, so I've got them all with me all the time. The spray's just nice to hold over the side of the boat. Just don't be downwind from it. Um, but it's just quick and convenient, and I like it. So
Yeah.
that's just my preference.
If you get a pen that's got garlic on it, make sure before you put it in your pocket, you put the cap on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't do that one time, and when I got back to Naples and I threw it in the laundry room, my wife found them. I went to get my jeans to wash them and couldn't find them, and I found them out in the middle of 2.5 acre lot that I'm on outside because she didn't want to smell that.
Well,
Yeah.
I sent a black garlic marker through the washing machine and dryer one time, so
Oh no!
that was
Man.
interesting.
So,
Does anybody have questions for Will while Will's in the room because he's only staying for this portion?
yeah. Let's see. I had a couple of them that was popping up.
So on the neutralizer, when you use it on the blade,
Mm-hmm.
over time will it fade the blade any, or is it okay?
No, it doesn't hurt the feel. No, it doesn't hurt the nickel or anything like that.
Right.
Same thing with your carpet. It won't take the color out of your carpet or your boat either.
Right, it's not bleach. That's right.
Right.
So, a question is, what color of the blade dip would you use for nighttime?
A
Black.
lot of use
Right.
black.
You
But
can in any bait for night fishing, you can use any color black you want to. And Roland and I will tell you that. And we've done a lot of videos at night. And man, you can't beat black. You really can't.
Yeah.
So I know that it's funny though that y'all say that black and stuff, but here the past 2 years I've been throwing a 1 ounce spinner bait with a like a greenish tint
Okay.
blade on it
Uh-huh.
at night, and I've been able. I've caught more fish than the person that's fishing with me.
Uh-huh.
But that don't say too terribly much either, though. So I mean, I'm just saying. But that green tint, I've also kind of used that green tint as well. So,
well, it's funny that Sonic coat that we got, that black melon. That's what it is. It's black with a green tint to it. And
yeah.
the thing is, you can mix these colors. I mean, we've got. You can take green. You can do. Change it up, make your own custom color. I've wanted to have purple. I've wanted to have purple, so I just take my blue and red and mix it. So you can mix these colors. People don't realize it.
Yeah.
When you were throwing your green blade, what color was the other guy in your boat throwing?
A black.
Can you hear me?
And you beat him?
Yeah.
Who was in the front of the boat?
I was.
Well, you were front ending them then.
I get that all the time, Jerry.
What color did the blade look to you when you were throwing it?
What color did it look to me?
Probably
you
black.
couldn't see it, right? Probably looked black. The fish probably thought it was black.
Any color black, right?
Any color black, man. Any color.
So,
all right, do you have more questions for Will? He's having a little bit of difficulty there.
I got people calling me, and I'm like,
there may be a few more questions. Does the spray come in any other scent besides the garlic?
Yeah,
I think y'all answered that earlier.
Yeah, we've got it. We've got it in garlic and in game fish. That's right.
Yeah.
Which spray? Which spray are they talking about, though?
It just said spray.
Well,
because we got these other ones that I showed you that had the game fish, the shad, and the crawfish, and So I mean, there is other scents if they, unless they're talking about the spray color.
Yeah, I think that's what they're probably talking about.
So they're talking about the elastin.
Yeah,
Okay, because they're coming out with more scents in this.
yeah, that Elastic.
Yeah, and
Okay,
it is. We have it in
Yeah,
game right now. Yeah, and like I said, we're coming out with pink because we've gotten a lot of requests for pink, um, especially in the saltwater side. So that's going to be the next addition.
yeah. So, like the pins will work good though for like if you're having like if you have a hard bait or something like that you want to either put some kind of accent stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
That is what the pin will actually work good for, correct?
It's designed for soft plastics just like that, but there's a lot of guys that color their crankbaits with a red throat or
Yeah.
with the markers. Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, I think that's all the questions that I've got that I see on my end. Um, so, guys, make sure you go. Hey, Will, does Spike It have like what is their social media? Like, if they want to follow Spike It on social media,
Mm-hmm.
how can they follow Spike It?
Instagram, Facebook, just go to Spike It Outdoors. And then, our website is www.ispikeit.com. You can order all this stuff direct or, go to Tackle Warehouse Academy, Bass Pro. Everybody's got our product. But, if you're looking for some off the wall things that most guys don't carry, you can get it straight from the website too.
Yeah. One last question. It says that tray, when is it going to be ready for sale?
Probably in the next, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. That could be a month, but we're that close on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it going to be?
And go on iSpikeIt or they can email sales at iSpikeIt, and that comes to me, and I can put them on the list to be the first one to let them know when it's ready.
Sounds good. And will they be able to get it from like Tackle Warehouse as well, or
distributors? That's what we're working with them now, is getting it in all our major, Pitmans and all that. So
sounds good.
yeah, man.
So, man, Will, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it.
And
Man, I enjoyed it, guys. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll send you guys out all this stuff to work with and try. We love everybody's feedback because that's how we know what to do and what not to do. Is we listen to you guys. So,
yeah. Well, you've got one guy that brought you on here that is very good about giving information and stuff and feedback on it. And I mean, I consider him as a fishing mentor to myself, and he's great and stuff. And I mean,
I didn't know you thought about me like that.
No, I'm not talking about.
So, Josh's head getting bigger and bigger over there.
It is.
But look, that's serious though. We come up with something we think is great, and I'm like, let's send it to Gerry. Let's see what he thinks.
Yeah. Hey, who do you really send it to? Hold on here.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, before we let you go, you've got some big news to give out. And if you want to give it out, if not, we can go on by. But what is the big news according with Hunter? And
we just signed him on as a paid pro staff member of Spike It officially. So
heck yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm telling you, I can remember Hunter going to ICAST and stuff like that, and seeing Hunter going around all the booths, and man, and I can remember he was a tiny fella. He's not so tiny anymore. He's shot way up there now. But
glad to do
I'm very
all we had
proud
to do
of
is fire rolling to make room in the budget, and we're good to go.
So,
Hey, wait a minute. We didn't tell Roland we cut his pay.
Well, I thought it'd be $6,000 while he's in the woods and can't get to me right now.
That's right. Yeah, good time to tell him.
So,
Guys,
but thank you again, Will, for coming on, brother.
We love to send stuff for y'all to look at, check out, and I mean, color and scent, it does make a difference.
And
Yeah,
check
it
out,
does. It
hey,
does.
check out my videos, on YouTube and stuff, and check out the Spike It, all their YouTube videos and all the stuff they put on their page, because all this new stuff's going to be coming out on there. We're even going to have some underwater footage. Yeah,
Yep.
we're going to use
Heck
underwater
yeah.
cameras. We're going to have underwater footage.
That is awesome. So,
Will, thank you for coming on, brother. Thanks for all
I
you do.
appreciate it, guys. Yeah,
uh,
I'm gonna watch the rest. Y'all got some good topics that everybody's interested in right now. So,
All right,
heck
man.
yeah.
We'll take the gloves off now and get ready for
all
that
right,
one.
yeah. Now you can
All
talk
right.
about.
All right, bud.
I
Thanks,
see
man.
you.
But
So as I adjust this one, let's get Gerry in here. All right, you
Here we
ready?
go, huh?
Here we go.
Here we go.
we,
he looks like he's ready.
he's
I'm
always
ready.
ready, and that's one thing I like about Gerry. He's always ready, and you're going to get the truth. You may not like the truth, but
Nope.
you're going to get the truth from it.
I'm gonna.
And so,
I say what I mean, and I mean what I say.
yeah,
Yep.
and that's what's all we can expect from somebody,
Uh-huh.
And but let's get going with some of these questions.
Let's go.
So, I want to talk about, since we talked a little bit about forward facing sonar, Gerry, with Spike It. I want to kind of keep on that for a second.
Okay.
So, what has been some of the pros and some of the cons and with forward facing sonar?
Ooh. Okay. Do you want to go with the pros first or the cons?
Let's go. Let's go with the cons first, and then finish up with the pros.
Okay. And now I'm going to tell you that these aren't necessarily my cons. These are the ones I'm hearing from people. And when Roland and I do seminars and stuff, we're asked these questions about how do we think and what they think is affecting the fish. And these are the bad things. So it's not necessarily mine. Okay. One of the cons is, and it's happening now, it's happening on heavy pressured lakes where the pulse coming out of the forward facing sonar is scaring the fish and spooking them off the structure. It just happened to us on Douglas Lake. Every fish I threw out on, and Hunter threw out on forward facing would just take off because we hit them with the beam. So what we do is we hit them with the
Yeah.
beam and then turn it away and cast, and we get a bite and we catch the fish. That's how Hunter made those 4 checks up there. So we believe that they're getting used to that sound and they know they get caught and they're spooking away from it. Now, Mark Zona, if you remember at one point, said that when forward facing sonar first came out, you could catch 9 out of 10 fish that you saw. He says that's down to 2 or 3 out of 10 fish that you see because
Oh, I believe it.
they're getting used to it. So that's one of them. It can spook the fish. The other negative is you rely on technology and you no longer have skill or instinct. And these young guys come out and they're bang forward facing sonar. Their skill level and their instinct, when you take it away, they're at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
They might as well, like when you go in, and we're going to discuss this later, but when you have a tournament where one period you can use it, they ought to fish, and then on the others, they ought to just eat their lunch because they're not doing anything other than that.
Right.
And that's what I see. Ethically, the people are saying that it's an unfair advantage for the fish because now you can see them clearly and really target on them, and that's one of the things they don't like. And I look at that, and I probably should deal with this on the pro side, but I look at that as being no different than betting fish. When you put polarized glasses on, you can see them. It allows you to target them. So the other thing is that that you have the cost of the stuff and the learning curve of how to use it. So that's a con. A lot of people say, "Oh man, you got money. You run one." Well, no, I run two. I run Garmin and active. I run an LVS 34 and an active target 2 on Hunter's boat and my boat because we have our own boats. So we got both, so we can pick between which one we want. Some, and I'm not going to get into the differences, but some things are better on one unit than it is on another. Well, the other con to it is the cost and the learning curve that you got. The biggest impact, huge, and nobody ever talks about it, is I hate to tell you this, but the lure manufacturers are taking a hit because crankbaits, buzzbaits, they're not selling like they used to, dude. Everybody's looking at ball-headed jigs and in little minnow baits, and that's where all the sales are going. So them people that got that product out there, they're reaping benefits, and other manufacturers are starving to death. So that's a con to what's going on. Um, Environmental overfishing of the fish offshore. That's another con to it. There's a lot of pressure on the offshore where before it wasn't. And then I think the other one is another con, and people don't look at this, but I do, is time wasting because they're looking down and they're just looking for certain fish. And while they're looking down and moving around, they're not making any more casts.
Yeah.
If you're going to be looking down, whip a crankbait or something. They don't do that, dude. You watch them, they hold their rod, they look down, and they move around. So those are some of the cons that I see. I don't know if you have any you want to add to that, but those are the ones I see.
That about sums it up right there. I mean,
Well, now, do you think that like the shallow water fish that because we had thought that like before forward facing sonar that the population of shallow water fish had moved out. A, a lot of it had moved out. Now, do you think with them being pressured out on the ledges and out deep, that's going to push them back up shallow?
I think that now you're asking me a question where I have to look at it analytically, and I think what's happening is we're not only driving them deeper, but we are moving some shallow. Now, Roland and I have discussed this at great depth, and I've been doing this for a long time. I got put on the Mercury team and the Ranger team when I was 21 years old, and I'm still with Mercury. I still get discounts on Ranger, but not like I used to. But I've always said all my life that 90% of the fishermen fish for 10% of the fish.
Yeah.
Because I'm a true believer that 90% of the fish live offshore. Now, I will tell you, and I hate to bring this into the subject, but I'm going to. Here in the state of Florida, with the overspraying of the vegetation, our fish are automatically transitioning out because the habitat's disappearing. Lake Okeechobee has lost
Yeah.
80% of its vegetation. And where those fish going? They're going out in open water. So when everybody says, oh, Okeechobee sucks from the perspective of fishing shallow because the structure's not there, but it's turned into more of like a northern lake where you got these big schools of fish cruising open water now. So,
Yeah.
that's my take on it.
Yeah. And I can understand. I mean, because we're dealing with that up here as well. I think every southern state has some form of to where they're killing the grass, they're killing whatever, any kind of vegetation that they can kill. On the Tennessee River, like we've got the TVA or TWRA is going out. They only will spray the main channel, but which is all right, I guess. I
Right.
mean, but and which is understandable because it's navigable water. You've got barges and everything going from up and down the main channel all the time. But like where we've really seen a big difference is like going in the back of these sloughs,
Okay.
and you may have what 8 to 10 houses in the back of it, but they're wanting to have all that cleared out. So they'll privately hire a company to come in and spray the back of the sloughs and just to clear out the areas around their houses to where and boat docks. And And I guess if I was to pay the money that they paid to have a house on the lake, and I would want to be able to have my boat and stuff, I can see it to an extent.
Right.
But they're not realizing that if they're spraying in the back of the pocket and we get a good rain that pushes all that stuff out, it's killing everything from the back of the pocket all the way to the mouth of
Mm-hmm.
the creek or the slough.
Right.
And then it's going down. So we're getting hammered by these people that are living on the water because they're privately getting people to come in and
Right.
spray.
Right. You know, we're way ahead of most of your states that you're talking about because our spraying escalated. Like 9 years ago, the whole budget for the state of Florida was $1 million of spraying. Do you know what it is this year?
There ain't no telling.
$41 million. So it escalated. So we got to the point now where we're like, man, what do they got left to spray? So all of a sudden, all these plantings started, and they started planting stuff, and we're like, oh, good, they're going to stop spraying. No, they came back in and sprayed
So
again.
complaining.
What they were doing
Yeah.
is they were giving themselves something to spray because they were running out of things to spray, and they had to make that money
Yeah.
because they get paid by the usage of gallons, not by acreage of weeds, by uses of gallons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of got off the subject, but I think that's what that's what's moving the fish more than anything, more than
Yeah.
forward facing. So let me go over some of the pros real quick. Okay, with forward facing sonar, you're seeing fish in real time, not what you just ran over or what you dropped a marker on. You're seeing them in real time. So that's a pro. Another pro, you're able to move with the fish. If it's a school of fish and they're chasing bait, you're able to stay with them. As long as you're quick enough and your unit's good, you can stay with the fish. There's another one.
Yeah.
One of the most important things, and I love it. Hunter does it really, really well. His casting accuracy's got to be right on, especially when you're in the forward mode, because that cone's only so big in front of that boat. So he's got to get it out there, and he sees how to twitch his bait or twitch his bait, and he learns the exact momentum of it and watches the fish. And if the fish kind of shies away, he goes, "Oh, that was wrong." So he'll throw again. They'll pick it up, and then maybe they'll follow it and hit it, or he'll slow it down. So he gets to learn. But I'm going to tell you right now, I am not going to let him be a forward facing sonar junkie. When we go to Okeechobee and places like that, I keep them units covered 100% and say, buddy, you better find your flip stick, your worm stick, your jig rod, because man, forward facing sonar is not all. You're going to learn everything you need to learn about the sport, and I suggest people with kids do that. So, but
Yeah.
that is another one. You're casting and everything, staying with the fish. And then you're not wasting time. In the old days, we used to go find a brush pile, drop a marker on it. We'd spend 20, 30 minutes seeing if there's any fish there. We go to the brush pile now, we shut down, take the forward face and run around and go, there's no fish here. Pull the trolling motor, go to the next one. So we're able to cover more water and be on fish all the time. Um, Also, a pro, you're able to target the bigger fish. If you can understand what you're looking at, you say, "Oh man, those bass over there, they're little, but man, look at the size of them two over there."
That's
And
it.
you're able to target the bigger fish in there. That's a big pro. And then probably the most important one is being able to move with the fish. So those are the pros I would say. If you can add some to that, then please go ahead and add them.
Yeah. And to me, like, and I've told people this before, uh, I've had it on my boat for 2 years. Uh, do I believe that I've caught more fish with it than I did without it? Probably not. If I have, it's a very small percentage more. But
Mm-hmm.
what I have learned is fish habits. What we thought fish was doing, like growing up and what we thought fish was doing, I've learned that has been totally different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it may go back to like what you were saying earlier. Gerry, is the pressure. The pressure may have got them to change to do things different because now uh, they are now they're having to adjust with the forward facing sonar. And
Mhm.
I have learned, and I've told uh, Happy here. I told him, I said, one of the big things that I've learned is like, especially like on chick and stuff. Like if you're on, like, let's say a main lake point, and
Yeah.
you've got fish that you know that you're catching on this point.
Okay.
Well, fish will what it's doing, and what I've realized is like the fish are going to circle. So when the fish hit that main lake point and you're getting them to bite, and that bite window may be 3 casts, it may be 15 minutes, however long they're up on that point,
Mhm.
then they're circling back around. I've followed them multiple times, throwing at them as they're making that circle. But then by the time they got back to that main lake point, they're ready to eat again.
Uh,
Uh, so I have learned that. That is another thing that I've learned. I've learned that, and it's also, I mean, the main lake points is mainly where I've seen it. I've also seen it back in on some flats that maybe had like a ditch that come out. When they're out over that ditch, they're not hitting. But once they get it to where they're pushing the bait back up onto the flats, they will hit then too. But I have been able to learn so much about what fish are doing. Been able to target fish a lot better. And like what you were saying, uh, because if you're looking down at the screen and you see a fish, but then over here to the right, you scan over to the right and you see a fish that you can see that little tail kick, then you
huh.
know, if you can see that tail kick, you know that it's going to be 5+ pounds. That you know that's the fish I want to target.
Uh,
So, uh,
now
so
let me say this, okay? I will tell you that I want to challenge you to something, and I want you to forget one time, just forget about point.
Mhm.
I want you to go out on chick wherever you're at, and all I want you to do is find balls of bait. Don't pay attention to what the bottom looks like. Just go out there, find balls of bait, and start looking around the bait. And when you on your 2D, your down scan, your side imaging, whatever it is, and when you start seeing them big bumps underneath and to the left and to the right, I want you to shut down and use your forward facing and find out just chasing bait you can win a tournament. Never mind
That's
hump structure, just
we
chase
talked about
bait.
that the other day.
Uh,
that's something we've been talking about a lot here lately. Is just chasing the bait.
yeah,
Just going and chasing the bait.
yeah. Now I'm going to tell everybody, okay, and you can say it's bull, you can say whatever you want. I really don't care, but I'm going to tell you some information right now that's going to help you out. I run a C clear cable in every one of my boats. I install them in Roland's boat. It helps. It clears up the picture. I run a dedicated battery just for the electronics. Okay, I I overpower the module for the forward facing, not the units, the module, because I believe that it improves the picture on it.
Yeah.
But the most important thing I do is when I go to use the forward facing, I only run one at a time. I told you I got active target 2 or the LVS 34 for Garmin. Only run one of them at a time. In your other units, you got to put in standby because without you realizing it, your 2D, your 4D, if any of them are running, they're putting interference on your forward facing. And don't tell me it's not because I know it is because we've tried everything. We've even hooked 24-volt batteries. I'll tell you something you ain't going to believe in a minute about Roland's boat. But I'm telling you, go out there and do what I say. When I have a boat that comes in to fish near me and he gets within 100 feet of me, my forward facing will pick up his 2D 4D. I'll start getting interference from that guy's boat from 100 feet
For real.
away. Honest to God. Honest to God. And I want your people that are watching, if you have forward-facing sonar, next time you go out, I want you to put all your units in standby except for that, and write Colin back and tell him if your picture didn't improve. Now, let me tell you what we did in Roland's boat, because we keep playing with things. Do y'all use, hang on, let me grab one right here. Do y'all use DeWalt tools?
Yep.
Roland's electronics are running on 20-volt batteries off of tools. We put
You tell me this.
connectors in there that we connect the batteries to, and out of one of the mega batteries, which I don't see one laying here, I wish I did. It's a real big one. They're expensive. We let it run one day, and we can get on a forward face, and we can get 12 hours and 37 minutes out of a battery. And dude, it is the clearest picture because there's nothing else wired to it. It's right there at the module. The power doesn't have to come from the back, and it's incredible. And he loves it because he keeps a board in there with a double charger on it, 2 batteries. So anytime he needs a battery, he just switches out. And man, he's only running on these little 20-volt batteries. We'll try
Yeah.
anything. Sometimes we get a little crazy. We'll burn something out, but that happens. That happens. But
Yeah.
if you can get any little advantage, but honest to God, next
Yeah.
time any of you see Roland,
And
20-volt batteries, his boat's running, his electronics are running
and
on.
I think that does make a difference in between having the power in the back of the boat to having it right there at your unit. Because people, you don't realize it, but if you have uh, like electric and stuff like that coming through the wires, the longer that wire is, the lower, as farther it gets away, the lower the voltage and stuff. You may have 12 coming out at the battery, but by the time it gets to wherever it's going, you may only have 10,
Uh,
maybe 9.5, and
hey,
people just don't realize it.
it's the same thing. If you buy one of them little 16 gauge 100-foot extension cords and charge your boat at the hotel at night, and I come rolling in with a 25-foot 12 gauge wire, my cord is going to take most of the power out of the outlet you're plugged into, and I'm going to be charged way sooner than you are, even if we have the same battery, same charger, because that 12 gauge wire is going to carry that electricity because that cord leaks as it goes down. You leak voltage, and I'm going to be charged much sooner. And people don't understand electricity; they really
No.
don't. They really don't. But that's a secret to forward facing, man. Go out there. And the other thing is, if you buy a C Clear cable or for that matter anybody's cable, because there's multiples out there, those things generically could go in a 28-foot boat. What I need you to do is run that wire from the battery up to where it goes, and the C Clear has a wire that goes to the dash, and the other one goes to the front. When you get to the dash, cut that wire as short as you can to just make the connection. And when you get to the front, cut the wire and get rid of all that excess because you're just losing more power there.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. So that explains some of the electronics. So I hope I answered enough questions on the pros and cons and how to wire your stuff up.
Now, do you think, to kind of stay with the forward-facing sonar for a little bit longer, do you think that the fishing series should limit the use of forward-facing sonar?
Absolutely not. Why would anybody want to limit technology? Okay, why would you want to do that? You're looking at fish live, but you're looking at fish on a unit, correct?
Yeah.
So people, why would you limit it? Because 90% of the fish live out there, and now you're seeing them better. So if you want to take forward facing away because you think it gives the fish an advantage, then during the spawn, why don't we take all your polarized sunglasses away? Because that gives them an advantage too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I right
Well,
or am I wrong?
right. But
Okay.
also, and correct me if I'm wrong, when the side scan came out,
Mm-hmm.
everybody said the exact same thing. That's cheating. You're able to see And now, since it comes on every depth finder that's out there, it's not cheating anymore.
Yeah, and they allow 3D or they allow 360. They allow side, but man, this FFS. This must be a bad thing, man. We got to get rid of this stuff. People are catching 100-pound 3-day bags. Let's get rid of this. And this is. Do you get rid of the floggers when you go up to the Great Lakes? Do you get rid of those?
No.
How do you stop technology? Okay, and let's and I'm really gonna piss some people off here. I can already see I'm gonna get hate mail on this. Let's look at your tournament trails, BASS and Major League Fishing. Two big organizations, the biggest out there, and one of them, Bass. I don't think they really did anything, did they? They didn't really make them illegal.
They limit to one transducer.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
And then they limit to how many inches of screens you can have on your boat. So I think it was like 115 inches that you could have on your boat.
Okay.
So that 115 inches, if you wanted to put, however, as long as you came within 115 inches, you could have 12 units on the boat, as long as it came within that.
Right. Okay, and then Major League Fishing went with you can use it in one period. In the Toyota, I think you can use it as much as you want. Yeah. So they went to that. So then you got this other, and I'm going to stress this, and this is where I'm going to get the hate mail. You got this little tournament trail called the NPFL, and I'll explain why I say that's little in a minute. So they see this bandwagon of all these forward-facing sonar haters, and they said, we've never filled our field at 125. If we ban forward-facing sonar, we're probably going to have a bigger field than 125. What backfired on them is that the same number that liked it disliked it and left, and they're actually one boat short this year than they were last year. So they still don't have a full field.
Yeah, because
right. And I think, let me tell you straight up, I got a contract from the NPFL the very first year it came out. The people that run it are some of the most awesome people in the world. Every one of them. They all talk to me on the phone. They're great people. I'm not picking on their trail. Their trail is a good thing to have out there for people that like to fish with no forward-facing sonar. But I just, and by saying small, somebody got an argument one day going, the three major ones are Major League Fishing and Bass and NPFL. And I go, well, I don't really know if you can put the NPFL in there. And they go, how do you figure that? I said, okay, let me tell you. Here's what I got. BASS, 557,000 members. Major League Fishing, 292,315 members. NPFL, 117.
Yeah.
So how do you compare them? And again, NPFL is a great thing to have out there. The people are awesome people. Man, I would even think about going to fish there, but they're just not that big yet. And maybe someday they're going to get there because this sport's growing. But this sport needs a lot of help right now. This sport's going a lot of different directions. Some are good and some are pretty bad right now.
Yeah. I guess it's more of a statement saying I think that the NPFL, this is from Terry, said, I think that NPFL kind of shot themselves in the foot with banning it completely, and that they were not able to pull as many people as they thought that was going to come.
I agree with Terry 100%. You're absolutely right. And I don't condemn the people running the organization because it was worth a try. And I hope when they finish this year, they go back and reconsider. Now here's the big thing. And you know me, you've known me for a long time. I say it as I see it. People say, oh, man, when I watch it on the internet, I'm so bored. I'm looking at the back of a guy's head, and it's not like the old fishing. Well, let me tell you, man, there was a tournament this year. I think it was Murray or someplace where nobody really used it because all the fish were on the bank. And dude, I saw the back of people's head all damn day long.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
Yeah, they
they,
just wasn't looking down.
yeah, they're not looking down, but I still see the back of their head. And now I think what may change people's mind, and they need to do it more often, is they started showing the screen
Yeah.
of the guy forward face, and that's making it much more interesting. So I hope I hope everybody reconsiders, and I think everybody's trying to do like limit how many, um, have it none at all, limit one transducer, one period. I mean, everybody's trying something, and they'll
Yeah.
find the niche. This is all new, and it's a learning curve. But Terry's absolutely right. I agree with Terry 100%.
Well, and like a lot, I know because like I do a lot of stuff with bass, and I'll go and do uh, do stuff with the Bass Pro Tours and stuff when they come around to where I don't have too far of a drive to go. I'll make the little drive and go see them. Uh, but like the Japanese anglers last year, they were using the forward facing sonar, the transducer that they're using out deep sea fishing to where they can go farther out. They can see fish farther out.
That's the well, Garmin has, I believe it's the either it's the LVS 62 or 64, and
Yeah,
allows you to see out 500 feet.
yeah,
Yeah, and what that's good for is I wouldn't use it for fishing because it goes too far out, but it's good to see if you're got bait fish out in front of you, and if maybe the bait fish are pushing away, you can get to them a lot quicker. Do you really need it? I mean, I think that transducer, if I'm not mistaken, is like $3 grand
yeah,
just for the transducer. I wouldn't invest that money in what we do because everything's tight, everything's close for us. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, and again, I don't condemn the people that don't like the forward facing sonar, but I look at it this way: if I could help an 85-year-old Roland Martin learn how to use forward facing sonar, then I think anybody could learn it. You know, he's 85
Yeah.
years old, and I helped him learn it. He's really good at it now. I think anybody could learn it.
Yeah, well, it's just a time. I tell people these guys that you see on TV have spent thousands of hours picking this up.
Mhm.
They're learning that trade of
Right.
being able to use that forward facing sonar,
Mhm.
and that's why like you can see Wheeler is phenomenal at it. But every time that I see him out on Chickamauga, I won't say every time, but a lot of times that I see him out on Chickamauga, he's out there honing his skill in and he's learning something new about it.
Mhm.
That's where I think people just do not want to take the time to be able to go. They think they should be able to put this unit on their boat and then they should start winning these BFLs that's coming around. It's
Uh-huh.
just not going to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I'll tell you, when we were up at Douglas, we had a lot of the Carson Newman fishing, college fishing team there. And dude, they were killing it, man. They're on that forward facing sonar, and they know what they're doing. I was impressed by what they were doing, and I got to see where they were fishing, and they dominated that, man. Now I will give one more secret to everybody that's forward facing sonar. A company like DD26, and there's a lot of other companies out there. I think is that the name of it,
Yeah.
DD26. Okay, they make a cover to put over your transducer for forward facing. By all means, go buy those, and
It's
when you
well
load
worth
your boat, cover it up going down the road. Uncover it when you go fishing. It's the best thing you can do to protect that thing because you're going down the road, you get bugs in there, you get everything else. The sunlight's going in there. Cover them things up because you got a big
Well,
investment there.
well, you also got to think too, though. Like if you're driving down the road, and a car beside you kicks up or rocks and hits that transducer. That transducer's done.
Uh huh. You got big money in there, and man, for the small price of those covers for your transducer, just put them on there, guys.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to have to keep turning around and rebuying because they burned out from the sun or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
it's such a small investment for such an expensive piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, let's.
I'm sure I just pissed off a lot of people by
Yeah,
you know by
I've got some comments and stuff on here, but I don't want to keep on carrying on because there's a lot of stuff. When I have you on, I want to be able to get as much information because I know you are open and honest about. You
Mhm.
tell everybody how it is, just like how you gave the cons and the pros to the forward facing sonar.
Mhm.
Uh, but I want to kind of move to uh, like safety wise, like because the past 2 years we have seen incredible increase of boat accidents here in the past.
Oh, buddy, you're trying to get me a hot water here tonight with these subjects.
So no, but my question for you is, what is it that you think? Do you think that we need to emphasize more on like the classes, like people to go through like a boater safety course to make sure that people are going through this, or which we talked about it the other day, uh, that you were saying like on Hunter's boat, the units are good for you can see over it, but when Hunter's behind the wheel, he has trouble seeing up over. Do you think that that is majority? Because
No, no. What I think here's my take on that, and I bet you're going to be talking about disqualifications next too, aren't we?
we're gonna
We're
get
we're we're going down some rabbit holes here, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I got thick skin. I can go down any rabbit hole. Here's what I'm going to tell you about boating. A lot of people can handle boats. There's fast boats like an Allison, a Bullet, some Bass Cats where you got to drive the hell out of that boat, or you're going to lose control of it, and there's going to be an accident that happens. But on the majority of it, most boats you can control them pretty easily, you know. And here's what's going on: there's multiple of things. It's driver error, 99.9999% of the time. How often is there an accident you hear the steering went out or the prop just flew off and they lost control? It happens very rarely. Most time there was nothing wrong with the boat until the accident happened. What's bad, and I'm going to tell you, is exactly what you just brought up. The height of the units in front of you, but the height of the units at the front of the boat, the right height that you put on the trolling motor, the transducers, if you're running like we are, LVS 34, LV in active target 2, all of that stuff is kind of distracting people and it makes it a little bit difficult to see through there. Now, if you're not sitting up high enough in your seat, go get yourself a little booster seat down the IHOP or something, like the little kids, and sit your butt in there, bring a pillow or something, and get yourself so you can see around there. Because not only will you maybe be saving that guy's life, but you may be saving your own life.
yeah,
And then the other thing is, a lot of these drivers get distracted, and I've seen it in guys that I've rode with. They get distracted and they keep staring at the GPS map and they're not paying any attention. They're slowly drifting off, and that's accounting for accidents. You
yeah,
know, I don't know the particulars on the two accidents that happened. I did hear on one of them the guy ran in on the wrong side of the island that he was supposed to be running on,
yeah,
and the boat he hit on the backside, the only traffic coming should have been coming from the other direction, which means somebody would have saw him in time. But he ran on the wrong side of the island. So
yeah,
again, you got driver error. It's not the equipment. That wasn't the electronics. He went on the wrong side and came out of there wide open and no place to run. You know, one of my friends, who I'm not going to name, he has the problem of his front units being blocking his view, and he said he was running, and he runs a bass cat. He was running, and he wanted to make a right into this cove. So he's watching, and all of a sudden he started going to the right. And just as soon as he turned to the right, he saw a guy laying on a paddleboard. Had he not turned into that cove, he would have ran him right over because that electronics blocked that paddleboard, and that guy was laying on the paddleboard. Was the guy paying attention? Yes. What was the problem? Was it driver error? No. In his case, his vision was blocked. So again, I mean, you guys laugh when I say go to IHOP and get the booster seat, and I say that sit on a pillow, sit on something, shim the seat up, get above your electronics. I hate to see any person hurt on the body of water. I watched a boat hit three girls that were swimming from a summer camp, kill one of them, paralyze one, and the third one pushed off of it. And I wasn't involved in it, and I felt terrible for what happened on the body of water. And we don't want to see accidents. We don't want to see people hurt. People got to use common sense, and today's electronics are getting in the way, and staring too long at a GPS map is a problem. It really
Now,
is.
see, I know the latest accident though. Um, they also had fog to deal with as well. So let alone did he go the wrong way, he also had fog that by the time he came through the fog and that boat came through the fog to where he could see it. I mean, he had a double whammy to where it was asking for nothing but trouble.
Okay, the story I was told by a really good source is the striper boat was running but in neutral. He hit that off center of the bow, and when he came up, he hit the console, and when he did, he shoved the boat into reverse. All five guys went in the water. I heard one of them was hit by the nitro and killed instantly. The one from Florida. I heard he died instantly on the spot. The other guys are in the water, and now you got a boat going backwards in a circle.
Yeah.
So the striper boat, as far as I was told, I mean, wasn't running anywhere. He was sitting at the other side of that. And again, from what I'm being told by people that live there, boats come in on that side, so he clearly was visible. But when you come in from the wrong side, which apparently is against the law, you don't see that boat until it's too late.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm not going to tell you that story is 100% right, because I'm hearing it secondhand. I wasn't there. Thank God Jordan Lee was the first guy on site, and he helped out getting people out of the water. And how they stopped the boat, I don't know, but thank God that other people stopped to help out. And I wish there'd been no fatalities there, but unfortunately there was three of them.
Yeah. So, I want to kind of get into, I guess, the topic you've already kind of brought it up.
Here we go, another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All we got.
Yeah. Which he knows. Jerry's been on here a couple times, and I think he's probably the person that's been on the podcast more than anybody else has been on the podcast. But do you think that some tournament series, and I know the comments are fixing to blow up, do you think that they're too fast to disqualify somebody? Or do you think that they do their due diligence to be able to make sure everything's properly done, that it was, yes, it deserves to be disqualified? Or do you think they just kind of disqualify to kind of save face?
I think that disqualifications, boy, we're really going down one, man. I'm going to let loose on this one. So you're going to have comments. I think disqualifications are given to people that aren't their favorites. And I think some people are getting away with murder and getting information, GPS waypoints. I have some of that information of people that do that and are getting away with murder. And I don't want to bring any names up. I'm not going to throw any names out. I think that some organizations are not going black and white with their rules. They're stretching into the gray area. And you need to stay out of the gray area. If it's not in writing, it never happened. And I could bring up a couple of scenarios, and I'm not, because it's on individuals. But should they have been disqualified? Absolutely not. Were they the favorites of that organization? Absolutely not. I think guys like Dave Mercer should shut the hell up, just be an announcer on the stage, and he's a good announcer. Keep your comments to yourself. Keep your opinions to yourself. You don't see me out there blabbing who I think. And, the Martin family, Scott, Roland, Laura, they're like family to me, and I don't comment on any of that. And if any of your people write, hey, Gerry, what do you think about the Scott thing? I'm going to just tell you they're like family. I'm not discussing that. And but I think that all these Randy Blockett's and all these people that are trying to be these social media mega guys just need to stop with their bullshit of opinions, because I don't want to hear opinions. We're never There's going to be an angler story, there's going to be an organization story, and there's going to be a third story that's all the bullshit that you're going to see of people's opinion on the internet. And then there's going to be a fourth one, which is going to be the truth, and we're never going to know that one.
Yeah.
We're never going to know that. I don't judge a person because I wasn't there. I didn't see it. If you're there and you see it, that's one thing. But if you're just listening to hearsay, that's all it is hearsay. But I'm telling you right now, and I counted them the other day. In 2024 and 2025, I can tell you about 62 disqualifications. Okay, between last year and this year. I can tell you that starting in 2023 and going back 20 years, I can count 4. So it picked up in 2024. It seems kind of funny. It picked up when the young kids came in, and I'm not sure why. I don't think that it's related to it. I'm not going to pick on the young kids,
Yeah.
but I just think new owners, new announcers on stage, and new people put in new positions have a lot to do with it. But I think the social media is kind of destroying bass fishing because of everybody's opinions. And like I said, Dave Mercer's a hell and he's not an employee of Bass. He's a subcontractor. I think he just needs to shut the hell up. I don't care what his opinion is.
Right.
You know, I don't really
Well,
care.
the thing, like I know, like with Randy Blockett, and there's a group of them
Uh,
that all they want to do is to be able to give you a thumbnail or give you a title to be able to go and click on their video. That's all they care about.
mhm.
And
They're gonna the Randy Blockett's, the Ben Millikens, the Slick Johnsons. They're gonna give you 75% of it bullshit. I always said that what Dennis Rodman was to basketball, being the bad boy, made him a very popular guy. Mike
yeah,
Iaconelli came into bass fishing, started doing the break dancing and stuff on the front of the boat, took a little couple notes from Rodman and became the bad boy for a while at bass fishing, and it got him a fan base. Now these guys are becoming the bad boys, telling you lies and whatever their opinions are, which who really gives a shit, and I'm going to say it again, and they're getting likes and views, and the only reason why they're lying to you and creating all these false stories is because they're getting more and more likes and they're making more and more money.
yeah,
And I think it needs to stop. And at some point, I truly believe it's going to stop. But I think the only thing that's really true is I think they need to go back and they need to look at that information rule and make it a lot clearer.
yeah,
And I'm going to give you, for instance, okay, where I could have been in a lot of trouble and it cost me something. I was on Chickamauga, and I had a dock, and it had a brush pile in front of it. And the brush pile was holding some big fish. But I knew first thing in the morning there was fish under the dock. So I had a co-angle, and I went running in there, and I went right to the dock, and I started fishing the dock, and I caught a fish, put him in the live well. The homeowner came out, so I thought everything's cool. He's going to watch. He yells over, hey, you'd be better off fish the brush pile behind you. I go, whoa, 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 whoa. You can't give me any information, man. Don't talk to me. I'm in a tournament. I can't hear that. So while I'm fishing the dock, I did catch one more under the dock, and I knew I could complete my limit behind me. Unfortunately, I never told the co-angler hey, I got a brush pile right here. We're going to fish it after the dock. So now it would look like I went to the brush pile because of this gentleman.
Yeah.
And when you take a polygraph test, because I've taken them and Hunter's taken them, when you take a polygraph, they would have said to me, did you get any information? I would have said yes. They would have said, did you fish that spot? I'd have to say yes. Did you catch any fish off of it? I'd probably say yes. You can't then say to them, hey, listen, I want you to ask me another question. Did I know the spot before I was told that? They won't do that. You can't ask them to bring you that question. So, dude, I was completely innocent. It cost me a brush pile, but I could have been disqualified for getting information because that guy blurted. I did everything I was supposed to do, but on the lie detector, the way they give you the questions, I would have failed it.
Yeah.
Okay. One other scenario happened. Two pros were fishing together. Back in the day, remember the invitationals? They'd have to pair up.
Yeah.
Guy in the back for the morning came in and protested the guy in the front and said, listen, that guy caught about 25 fish. They were bedding fish. Some were foul hooked. He put the foul hooked ones in the live well and called out from that. So the guy in front of him goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, I didn't. No, I caught 9 fish and they were all hooked in the mouth. They went to a lie detector test. Both guys gave the 25 foul hooked in the live well. Guy in the front gave 9 hooked in the mouth in the live well. They both passed the lie detector test. Oh, you're seeing what I just gave you is the exact reason why they can't use lie detector tests in the court of law, because whatever you think in your head, whatever you've decided, is what is going to be right and wrong on a polygraph test.
Yeah.
And
I
so
got
that's
a question that says, do you think that the polygraph test should be used in tournament series?
I do think that it should be used, and it's used in, like I said, my 13-year-old grandson, he was 12 at the time. As soon as he weighed in that 909 bass, they DNR took him, told me where they were taking him. I could watch from a distance. They were giving him a polygraph. It took over 35 minutes. First polygraph, and I love it. I welcome polygraphs. I think they should be utilized more. But here's what I think. If my scenario about that brush pile, I think a representative from the organization should also be at that lie detector, and that gentleman, if it was me, should have been able to say, sir, listen, when you asked me those questions, I said yes and yes. Yes, I get information. Yes, I did fish it. And yes, I did catch fish. But I want you to have him ask me the question, did I know it was there when I entered there? And I didn't need that information. And if they say, yeah, okay, let's do that, and I say, yes, I knew it was there, he'd say he's not lying. Now I'm free. But if
Yeah.
they don't ask that fourth
If they
question,
don't ask it, you're done.
yeah, they don't have to. You can't ask them to ask you another question. That's where I think it's wrong. I think a representative should be there, and in that situation or a situation similar, you should be able to tell him, listen, that's going to give you a false thing that I use that information. You need to ask one more question that's going to make it show I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
And so that's why you really can't trust them polygraphs, because they're set on a, here's what happens in a polygraph. They have a certain series of questions. If one question, okay, let's say question number 2, you either are lying or you're a little bit deceptive, over to the right will now be A, B, C, D. So it'll lead to more questions over at A, B, C, D, and then it'll tell them, all right, is he really lying or he's not? And then they'll move to number 3. But you can't tell him to ask the right question. So if he
Yeah.
doesn't have it on the list, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work unless you're able to give input into it to clear your name.
Yeah.
So would one alternative to that be, uh, if you knew you was coming in to take a lie detector or a polygraph, have the angler with the representative explain what happened, so that they could base their questions off of what you have told them.
Well, see, when you come in for the polygraph test, the questions are already there. He's already got them. They're not made up as you get there. But my reason for having that rep sit off to the side is for the scenario I just told you, where it
Right.
would have looked like I had cheated. But
Right.
by me telling him, hey, listen, it's going to look like I failed, but I'm going to show you why I didn't fail. You need to ask this one question. He says, what is it? Did I know about that? And did I find that in practice without that guy telling me? So he says, okay, ask him that. So he asked me. I said, yes, I definitely did. And he said, he's not lying. He did find it. So that
Yeah.
one added question made it very easy that I'm not getting DQ'd. But all the
Yeah.
other three led to disqualification without the fourth one being asked. So you
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
have the opportunity to defend yourself. Like Will Wiles wrote, you should have the opportunity to defend yourself. I think you should have the opportunity to defend yourself during the questioning, because if you can provide a question that clears you and shows that they're misleading you, then it's going to be true results. Other than that, it's never going to be a true result.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, because I agree with you uh, on about the polygraph. I think that it's going to be uh, that it is a good deal uh, to have the polygraph.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but just like what you said, in a court of law, you cannot use it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost to where you can make that polygraph say whatever you really kind of want it to say and
Mm-hmm.
manipulate it. Uh, it's
But,
going to keep an
but
honest man
but
honest, but it's, you
yeah,
know
but
what I mean?
hang on a minute. You can make it, but the guy asking the questions can really manipulate it and make you look 100% guilty a lot easier than you can deceive that machine.
Yeah,
So with the right question, they can make an innocent guy very guilty.
yeah,
And that's why I think you should be able to say, "Hey, wait a minute. You need to add one more question that'll prove I'm innocent." Now,
yeah.
I got put into a situation, and I'm not going to name the organization. Maybe I will next podcast. But I got
Mhm.
put into a situation where they questioned me on something, and I said, "Really? You think I'd do that?" I said, "I'll tell you what. Why don't we make a deal? Why don't you give Hunter and I a polygraph test? You pick the polygrapher. I'll pay the bill. But here's the deal: when we pass, both of us pass that. I want 3 of your board members to take a polygraph, and I want 2 of your boat captains to take a polygraph. And I guarantee you, when them 5 are done, they're not in this organization anymore. And they wouldn't do the polygraphs, dude. They would not, because I knew I had something on 3 board members and 2 boat captains that I guarantee you they would not pass, and they're still there today. And that's a case where I would have loved to have a polygraph test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
something they're not utilized nearly enough is what I'm going to tell you. I think polygraphs should be used a lot more. There's a
yeah,
lot of cheating going on, and here in Florida, we find a lot of fish cages under the water.
yeah. We find a couple of them a year, 3 or 4 a year that we'll find.
Mhm.
Um, so to kind of to get off, because I really don't want to ask any of the questions that I'm saying on
Why
for the
are they
disqualifications,
are they
but
that are they that bad? Are they beating on me on there? Because I don't see the questions.
no, this is you're only being able to see from one platform
Yeah, I
that's
don't
being
see them.
asked.
I don't see them.
But I a lot of it's talking about Scott. I don't really. I mean, because I think it's not fair to talk about it without him being here to be able to talk about it
To defend
himself.
themselves.
Right.
Right, and
Uh,
I and I'll and
so
I'll say it one more time in case people joined late. The Martins and I are like family. I won't have any discussions with you about Scott, Roland, Laura, nobody. That's their own business. If you have the opportunity to talk to Scott, you do that.
yeah,
And I have a lot of respect for Scott. Scott's done a lot of things for both Hunter and I, and I just won't discuss any of that.
yeah. Yeah, and that's the reason why I just wanted to bypass it.
Mhm.
But I do want to talk. We're starting to get into the shad spawn,
Okay.
and so I want to know what would be the baits that you are using during a shad spawn.
Okay. You want them in order of how I'd use them?
Sure.
Okay. So are we talking in open water, shad spawn, or back in the weeds?
Let's talk. Right now, we're seeing more of the open water right now that I'm
Okay.
seeing.
Okay, because it would change how I'd categorize the baits a little bit. So on a shad spawn, my number one bait would be a spinner bait. That'd be the first thing I'd throw as a spinner bait. You want something that's flashy, you want something that's moving pretty good clip, and you want something that's vibrating. So my color selection on all of these baits I'm going to mention to you is going to be something white or something shad colored or pearl colored. Okay, but spinner baits would be number one. Um, I'd swim jig would be number two. Absolutely, swim jig hands down. Number three would be some type of a swim bait, like a Big Easy or a Reaction Innovation Skinny Dipper. Something that's going to move some water, going to create vibration in the water. That's a given. Um, Number four, I'd probably have to go with the chatterbait. Chatterbait would come in number four. Again, in the white color. I'd even paint the blade white, maybe, or leave half of it white, half of it silver. Um, Probably top water with a whopper plopper would be the fifth one. Um, yeah, I think a whopper plopper. My sixth one would be a jerk bait, suspending one, probably one that goes 3 foot, 4 foot. Again, shad pattern. Um, if it's a calm day, no rattles in it. If there's waves on the water, rattles so they can find it. Okay, the sound of it. So,
Yeah.
and I can explain that more in a minute. Um, let's see. Another bait would probably be the next one would be a buzz bait, white, silver blades. Again, trying to key on the shad color. And then I'd probably have a toss up. It's going to be a crankbait or a frog. That'd be in the frog. That's why I asked you if it's in the vegetation. The
Right.
frog's coming in much sooner. The
Right.
frog's coming in, and again, I'd be keeping those towards the shad colors and stuff. So, but my key would definitely be something that flashes, something that reels pretty quick, and something that vibrates. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a big glide bait fisherman. Some guy laughed when I was up in Tennessee. He goes, "You got any glide baits?" I said, "Yeah, I got this box. There's $3,000 worth of glides in it." And he looked at it. He goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "Why so many?" And I said, "Well, see, this one is total epoxy, no sound. If it's flat like a mirror, that's what you want to throw. If there's any ripple of the water, you want this one. I picked up a hollow, rattles in it. Looked exactly the same, but they're not." And he goes,
Yeah.
"Why the difference?" I said, "In the waves, they got to find it. You give them sound." He's like, "Oh, okay." Same thing here. That's why I told you, you got to make a lot more noise during a shad spawn if you got waves there.
Yeah.
You got to make a lot of. That's why I like the vibrating, flashy, and fast.
So on your spinner baits, do you throw? You want to during the spawn? Excuse me, shad spawn. Do you want to throw more of like a willow leaf on it?
Double, double willow.
Double. Okay.
Double. I want a lot of flash, a lot of vibration. If it's calm and we're towards the end of the shad spawn, I'm probably going to go with a single Colorado because I don't want so much vibration because they've probably seen enough double blade to tell you what page of Bass Pro Shop's catalog it's on. So I'm probably going to throw a single bladed Colorado.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What size would you recommend?
how deep of water are you fishing?
Let's call around what is it?
18,
Back
20 foot is roughly where I'm seeing them right now.
Okay. I'd probably throw I'd try to get away with a half ounce, but I'd go as much as an ounce if I had to.
okay.
So yeah. And when they stop popping on the top and they start to settle down, I will try and find that steep drop and I'll throw it out there and I'll only half crank so it kind of flutters and comes to me at the same time. And
Yeah.
dude, when they stop busting on the top and you flutter that down with a soft crank, you wouldn't believe how them fish slam that spinner bait. Man, they'll rip that rod out of your hand if you're not watching. Yeah, it sounds like you caught him, Colin.
Yeah.
Just like that. Yeah.
I let's see. Michael says during the shad spawn, I will also use an underspin.
Yeah, you could. If I did use one, it'd be on what I selected number 3, which was that swim bait, the Big Easy
Yeah.
or the Reaction Innovation. I would use it there. My good friend Buddy Gross, he uses that underspin a
Yeah.
lot more than me. It is a good bait. So yeah, he's right. That'd be something to try. That'll add a little bit to that swim bait.
Yeah.
So
So I know one thing. I need to get down there to you,
come on,
and
son, let's go.
there's two things. I want to go fishing with him, and I also want to get on the air. He's got one of them airboats, and go through the swamp and stuff like that. They
That's
go.
Mike. That's Mike Arnoldy that has the airboat. But yeah, we can go on that. He's a
So,
real good friend of mine. Hauling bass guides out of the headwaters area, and we go into an area we call the jungle. And man, it's a fun time. It's
yeah,
great. You come on down and we can do that, man. We can go beat the bushes.
heck yeah.
So
And I want to talk. I can't have you on and not talk about Hunter because I mean, for 13 years old, the kid has done a lot of stuff. He's fished all over the United States,
mhm.
and it seems like everywhere he goes, he puts fish in the boat.
Mhm.
And I want to talk like as being his grandfather. How exciting is it for you to be able to see and then to have Spike it come on here and say he's going to be a paid uh,
Bro, yeah.
pro for them.
Yeah. I'm
Uh, so
I'm I'm
I,
really I'm really excited because he just turned 13 and he's really excelling. But I need to tell you that since he's been just a little kid, he's had Roland around, and he's hung around with Jimmy Houston a lot, and Bill Dance and Hank Parker and Ike and Ellie spent a lot of time talking to him. Kevin Van Dam every time we were at ICAST, Randy Howell. He's had a lot of people influence him and a lot of people help him, and that's helped out a lot. The sponsors, I mean, like Bahio sunglasses, he can walk up there and say he wants 3 pairs, and they'll give them to him, and I got to go over there like twist their arm, maybe put them in a headlock to get 1 pair, you know. So there used to be this time when we'd walk around ICAST together, and everybody come over and go, Gerry, I seen that show where whether it be with Fishing with Roland Martin or Florida Adventure Quest or Fish to Make a Difference or Pan Angling, all those shows I've done on TV in Florida. They go, can we take a picture, get an autograph? Now I feel like they almost pushed me aside. Where's Hunter?
yeah,
Where's
yeah,
he at? Get out of the way. Get out of the way, old man. So
yeah,
you know what's funny? I'm going to tell you the story. He'll tell you it's true, man. True, true, true. So when we go to these Bill Dance tournaments, I want Hunter to be the best that he can be, and I'll turn the front of the boat over to him, and he'll run the trolling motor and everything, right? So he catches a fish over there at Pickwick, and he has to yell at me because I'm behind the console, snoring away, dude, feet up in the air, and he's yelling, "Nat, nat, nat!" And I jumped up and netted the fish, and it ended up being a check. And I just love sitting back watching him because man, the excitement in that kid is unbelievable. And
yeah,
he's like really gung ho to do it. And he's calm when he gets a fish, and he's methodical. He thinks about it. He's really quiet when he fishes, which I am quiet. Other than that, I'll talk your ear up, and we're in the boat fishing. I'm not. And it's just amazing to watch how far he's come. And besides all those pros, the sponsors like Will that was on here today, they bent over backwards for that kid. I can't thank them enough. I'm talking about rods, reels, line, lures, everything. Hunter could. We were in New Hampshire fishing. He broke a couple rods, so I made a quick message over to Winston Tucker that owns Favorite because he was using favorites, and I said, "Hey, Hunter just broke this rod and this rod." He goes, "What address you staying at?" And 2 days later on a Sunday, a box shows up with 4 rods, 2 hats, some shirts, and he goes, here, this is to replace the 2 that broke. And they'll go out of their way to help the kid out. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. There's times where he'll get a box with 15 to 20 rods in it, another box with like 20, 25 reels in it. And what they've done is really helped them out a lot. But man, I'll say this as easily as I can without offending anybody. Everybody says, man, that kid's a hammer. That kid's going to go pretty far. I'm a realist, and I'm going to tell you, and that's why you got me on the show, because I'll tell you as I see it. When that boy finds out what owning an automobile is all about, what girls are all about, 9 out of 10 of them boys never come back to fishing, brother.
Yeah.
Never come back. So I'm hoping he's one of them. And I told him one day we were in the boat, and I said, it was kind of quiet. We were fishing. I said, Hunter, you know what? And he goes, what? I said, when you get a girlfriend, he looked at me, he goes, hey, don't worry about that just yet. I said, no, I'm just giving you a warning. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. When you get a girlfriend, you're going to introduce her to me. I'm going to look at her. I'm going to go, honey, do you bass fish? If she says no, I'm going to turn around and look at you and say, yeah, that's one you need to cull. You need to cull. Because I said, she better say yes or I'm against that whole deal. Because I want to see her in the back of that boat, the front of that boat, fishing with you. Because, man, if you take this far, you're going to make some good money. And, to be honest with you, there's only 5% of them guys out there making good money, dude.
Yeah.
There really is. Nobody, I've told Hunter, I said, to be a millionaire in fishing, just start with 3 million. You should be okay. So, but I mean, it's a tough thing. And to be honest with you, it's a tough thing to be away from home for tournaments. And, you miss weddings, you miss birthdays, you miss holidays sometimes. And, there's a lot that you have to give up. I just went through a period for over 3 weeks. I was Alabama, Tennessee, and then back. And it took over 3 weeks to do that. Hunter was on an airplane, off, on an airplane, off, on an airplane, off. And it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. I told some people these tournaments are costing someplace between 5,000 and 7,000 a piece by the time you're done. So it's almost like fishing a real big tournament trail. And he's learning some of the best lakes in the country. And he's learning how to find fish on them. And
that's one thing that I really like about like how y'all are approaching tournaments and stuff for him. You're not holding back anything because he could go and he can learn and do everything and be your typical Florida fisherman and be able to go catch big fish down in Florida. But when he goes and tries to venture out to come to, let's say, the TVA lakes, to where now he's got current. And a lot of the guys that like we've had on the podcast, especially that's been from Florida, they say that's the hardest thing for them to learn has been trying to learn on a body of water that has current.
Yep. I'm going to tell you something, and I don't know if you know this, but if not, you're going to learn something new. 20 years ago, Bobby Lane, Chris Lane, and Arnie Lane and I all fished against each other in a tournament trail. And a lot of people don't know that there's a third brother called Arnie Lane. And that's Chris and Bobby's brother. And Arnie's a heck of a fisherman. So we were all friends, and I got a lot of respect for the Lanes. And, we talk. Bobby and I sent messages back and forth on the holidays to each other and everything. And you could ask them boys, even when they left Florida to go to these waters, they're tough to start dealing with smallmouth and spotted bass. And, you look around and you go, where the hell's the weeds? And all you see is a lot of rocks and a lot of trees. And you're like, oh man, Toto, we need to go home. Yeah, this is the wrong place right here. And so Hunter's learning that. And I looked at the adults and the kids that leave Florida for a tournament. Dude, they get their butts handed to them.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm not going to let that happen to Hunter while he's young. And I've hauled him all the way up to even New Hampshire. And I've taken him out to go striper fishing to learn a whole different type of fishing. And I've traveled them all around to make him well versed. And now he knows what to pick up for spotted bass, what to pick up for smallmouth, what to use for largemouth, what the differences are. In some of the places the bass will intermix in the same structure, but then when you get on another body of water, smallmouth will definitely be over here and the largemouth will be over there. And he's learning how to do that. And it's definitely helping, and it's going to make him a good all-around fisherman. And I hope someday, our next podcast with you, we got some real exciting stuff, and
I'm excited about this.
We're going to open up doors for other kids, doors that have never been opened before, and we've got pros that are going to work with them, and we've got that thing's going to be unbelievable. I'm so excited about that. And Hunter and another kid, Jax Whitaker, they're going to be able to one day run that organization and call it their own. And there's no buying it. I'm just going to hand it to them, say, this is yours. You guys run this. You guys do this. But I'm excited to enter, dump a bunch of money in there and dump time in there and let these kids have at it. Because I really think these kids are going to be something down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm excited. We talked a little bit about it. And just from what we had talked about, I'm excited because y'all are coming on here in about a month. And so, and to be able to break what's going on with the news with it, I'm stoked about it. Again, to have Hunter back on here, I thoroughly enjoy having, because I enjoy picking people's brains anyways, and especially a younger kid that gets it. I like to be able to pick, just because their thinking is totally a lot different than what we typically would think. And so,
gotcha. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it, and as you know, we committed to you, and we got other podcasts going, no, dude, come on, we'll give you some money or something. I'm like, nah. This guy's a friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's helped Hunter out. He's helped me out. We know where we're releasing this information. Yeah. So, and I can't say who the guest is, because the guest is going to be a person that's really going to be the person managing the whole company, the whole thing. And I can't release that name, but she'll be joining us for that same podcast. And I'm excited because she's the right person for the job.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah.
So, well, we've had you on here for 2 hours, and I know Pappy, he's got to be heading out. So we're going to, if you got any more questions for him, go on. This will be the last where you can ask the last questions for him. But man, Gerry, I can't thank you enough for coming on, and because it means a lot to have you come on. And again, like what I said earlier, I mean, I consider you like a fishing mentor to me, because I know that I can ask you questions. I can bounce stuff off of you, and I know that I'm going to get the honest truth about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
And so I really appreciate everything that you've done for the years that I've known you. I mean, even when I first started to get to know you, this is how you've always been.
Yeah, I don't change, man. I'm too old. I'm too old to change now, brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So, do you, is there what about, I want you to I want to give you an opportunity to talk about some sponsors while we're getting some questions coming in.
let me
Uh,
let me make one statement that everybody's going to find comical. One of the I'm going to tell you the two most asked questions I get at seminars, when Roland and I together, Bass Pro Shops, wherever we're asked to talk and we do a roundtable. The number one question is, if you had one bait to use all over the United States for a year, what bait would that be? And my answer is going to be a black worm. Roland will tell you to be a green pumpkin Cinco, and I'll tell you it's a black worm because we always answer that. And then the other question is, um, I get asked this all the time. What's it like fishing with Roland Martin, both as tournament partners and just friends? So I look at him, I say, Have you ever fished with an old lady? I said, kind of like that. They go, what? I said, man, I'll tell you, I've had days where Roland said to me, man, I'm sorry I can't keep up to you catching these fish. He goes, you're just out flipping me. I said, that's okay. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to ask your wife to come next time. So he'll just laugh. That's a good thing. Roland and I can make jokes with each other. And I'll tell you what, there's days, dude, where I'm his net boy. There's days when that guy can light that water on fire, and I don't even have time to make a flip, a pitch, or cast. I just got to hold that net, and I might as well just stand next to him. So
yeah.
at 85 years old, we had his birthday party at Scott's house, and at 85 years old, that boy's still on fire, man. He just goes and goes and goes. My sponsors I'd like to thank are definitely Spike It, who was on here tonight with us. I'd like to thank Ranger Boats. I'd like to thank Bahio Sunglasses. Um, I'd like to thank. Let me think. You put me on the spot because usually I have a tournament shirt on. I can cheat. Um, I'd like the AquaView cameras, man. I'll tell you, the AquaView cameras are unbelievable. Um, they're a real good company of mine. YOLO Tech, they provide all of the accessories for my GoPros and stuff like that. Rely on batteries for all the lithiums. TH Marine. I'm sure I'm forgetting people. Mercury's, I love the Mercury people. They've had cuts and they've kept me and kept me and kept me, and I've been with them since I was 21. Yeti
Which we
Food,
share. We share.
Yeti
Well, we share YOLO Tech and Spare Point.
Spear
Uh,
Point, Yeti's another one.
yeah.
Yeti
Also,
Cooler.
when you come on here with Hunter here in a month, I want to talk a little bit about the fish care and how you take care of fish in
Fish
the live
lung.
well.
Fish
The
lung.
what?
Fish lung. That's a big one. The
Yeah.
fish lung accessory. That's a big one. Nathan at Sea Clear Cables. There's so many of them, man. I'm sure I'm gonna be upset when we get off because I'm gonna forget who I forgot to thank. Um, but I mean, there's a lot of people. Let me tell you a few things about Hunter that you may or may not know. Hunter writes a monthly article in a magazine called The Coastal in Florida. He's the youngest columnist in the magazine. Hunter
Yeah.
was the Hunter's a member of the National Professional Anglers Association. He's the youngest member to ever attend their conference as a member.
Wow.
He's accomplished a lot of things as a young guy, and those people have made sure that they bent over backwards for him, and especially the magazine. I mean, they were all about it, man. They were like, get Hunter in here, let's give him some exposure, and let's let people know who Hunter is. His school is like, we kept this all a secret from his school. They just found out like 6 weeks ago, and they wanted to do an article for him in the yearbook. And they're like, why'd you keep this a secret? I said, because we wanted him just to be an average student and, just get along with everybody and not have
Yeah.
everybody know that he travels and fishes tournaments and everything else. So we've tried to keep him humble, and that he'll call you Mr. Collin. He always Mr. or ma'am and thank you and please, and that he's got the manners, and he's very soft spoken, and that's the way we want to keep them. That and a lot of the kids that I work with, that's how they are, man. They're down to earth.
Uh, got a question that says, would you rather throwing on a Texas rig or shaky head? Would you rather throw a worm or a crawl?
Worm. A worm. And I'll tell you right now, in case people don't know, the 909 that came out of Chickamauga was on a giggy head from, what am I drawing a name? A blank. Out of Florida. I don't know. You had me name all my sponsors. He had a black trick worm on a giggy head out of Gambler Baits. And when he said that in the magazine article, when they interviewed him, they actually reached out and gave him gift certificates to get all this free stuff at Gambler Baits.
Oh,
But
that's
I much rather have a worm. And you know, it's funny how we caught that fish. And I'm going to tell you a real quick story, make it real short. We pulled up the first morning right to the spot. Hunter looks around. He goes, "We're in the middle of nowhere. What are we doing here?" I said, "In an FLW tournament, my co-angler from Alabama missed a bass that was well over 12 pounds with the net right here. So there's big fish, and I could tell when what happened. I can tell he's been hanging around rolling too much because I'm out there and I'm fishing, and not 3 minutes later, I feel him set the hook, and he goes, "Hey, son, you better get that net. I got one coming." And then that thing came in at 909, and he's right. He had one coming. Yeah, yeah.
so
So,
now, the last question I'm going to ask, and then I got two questions.
okay.
Um, now, how we see Roland on TV, and he'll say, "Oh, I got a 7-8 pounder," and he gets it into the boat, and it looks like it may be like a 5.5. Now, does he do that all the time to where it looks, or he always kind of his eyes are a little bit bigger than what the fish is at times?
Yeah, I swear he's got bad vision or something. I'm not sure what's going on with him. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Okay, a bass has growing spurts. Where they grow really quick. And the biggest one is from the time Roland catches it to the time he releases it. That fish will start at 5, it'll be 6, then it's 7. And
Yeah.
and let me tell you, when he loses a fish, that's a 7 or 8 every time. Yeah, yeah. And I have to tell him, I said, "Hey, why don't we start using the Bubba scale? 'Cause you're lying to these people." I said, "They're not that big, man." But if at 85, I'm going to let him get away with that, and the sheer excitement in that guy. But you're right; he over exaggerates them fish. I'll agree to that. Yeah.
Well, and I tell you, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed being able to hang out with you at ICAST, and being able to hang out with Roland and Jimmy and Bill.
Uh,
And just the knowledge, just with the four of y'all, just to be able to talk and just hear y'all talk amongst each other, the knowledge that's going around is phenomenal. If somebody has the opportunity to be able to sit down and just listen to y'all talk, they can pick up so much stuff.
yeah. Hey, I gotta tell you a story that happened to ICAST. No, I think it was like last year or the year before. So we went off on the side and hid from everybody, and we were having a discussion about how we'd like to have Bill, Jimmy, Roland, and Hank all fish against each other for one day and try and do it on the internet so everybody could watch. So
Right.
while we're having this discussion, Ike and Ellie sneaks in and stuff. And so Hank really hasn't been around Hunter very much. So he said, "Hunter, give me your hat." He said, "Here, Roland, sign it." So Roland signs it like over here. He hands it to Jimmy, and Jimmy signs it like over here. And so he goes around. Ike and Ellie signs it over here. So they get it all signed. He gets back to Hank. So Hank takes that marker and he signs it right up here, across the top. So he gives the hat back to Hunter, and he's holding it. He goes, "Hunter, do you know why I signed up here and they signed all over here?" Hunter looks at me. He goes, "No, sir." He said, "I wanted them to remember what the scoreboard looked like when I fished tournaments." with my name at the top.
On top.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of the coolest thing. But
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, we may be able to do a live with you maybe one night at iCast. Maybe we can do it from one of our hotel rooms or
yep,
conference room at the hotel or something.
sounds good. Well, last question, and we've asked this to you a couple times, but if you could have one person to fish in the boat with you for the day, can be passed away or still living, who would that be, and why would you want them on the boat?
You did ask me that, and man, I think you asked me that quite a while ago too. And my
Yeah,
answer was Brian Kerschel, who won the '94 Classic as a Bass Nation angler, and he was really young, and
the
he had
whistle,
say again
the whistle.
the whistle, yeah, the
Yeah,
whistle, and him and I are from the same area. We fished against each other up there, and when he was killed in the airplane crash that year, um, I had put on the internet that the parents had the whistles made, but they made 100 gold plated, and they numbered them 1 through 100. And the parents asked me, Gerry, which one do you want? And I said, give me 94 because it's the year he won the classic,
the classic.
and I'll never forget it. So I have the gold one. And that's who I said I'd like to fish with. And I still like to fish with them, but what you don't know is back when I was 21 and I posted pictures, Ray Scott would fly into New Hampshire where I lived, and we go smallmouth fishing together. And we do it every year. And he featured me in Bassmaster magazine as some 21-year-old punk, thought he could take on the world. And Ray fished with me. And after a couple of years of fishing with me, he said, you know what? I can get you sponsors. You need to come fish against the old guys that fish with me. You could beat them. And I looked at him and said, my wife and I, we're getting ready to have kids and we want like 4, and I want to raise them. So I can't go on the road. I'd love to. So he shocked the heck out of me. He turned around and called Ranger and said, you're giving him a pro staff. He called Mercury, said, you're giving him. He called Hummingbird. And now that he's passed away, I miss him. I'd like to fish with Ray Scott,
Yeah,
one more time. And, towards the end, Ray didn't even know who I was, which is sad. I mean, mentally, he was just kind of out of it.
right.
So, but that'd probably be it. I'd tell you this time, Ray Scott.
Yeah. So, well, guys, thank you for coming on, and Gerry, thank you so much, brother. Cannot wait for here in a month to
Uh,
see you again, have you back on here. Um, but guys, make sure you go check out Gerry's Facebook and social media. They have, and also the YouTube channel. Uh, they've got some killer videos and stuff up with, you'll see Hunter out there fishing and all this other stuff that they're going out doing. Go check them out. I will put the links to his social media in the description, and I'll put the links for the Spike It as well into the descriptions. And so go pick up that tray. Don't get any Spike It on your carpet. Go pick up that tray, and hope you have a blessed day. And we will see you out on the water, guys.
See
thanks
ya.
for inviting me, man, and everybody for tuning in. And I hope I didn't piss off a lot of people, but if I did, can't help you. See y'all.
See you, brother.